Okay, now right here, I'll mark them, and maybe we can, I'd like to do one there, and I'd like to do one here. Pressure flake. So I guess the question is, do I have enough room to pressure flake it? What you want to do is take everything away from there so it releases a little bit better, easier. Because if you don't, you don't want a big gouge here and here, because that's a done side. Right. I'll braid them. And these platforms, you can see, are so little that they're very difficult even with an issue stick, because an issue stick can leave a pretty good bulb if you want to put a little power on it. Do this one first. And I try to just set it onto the platform and try to kind of rake across it to where all I want is a scar. I don't care about depth or anything. It did some, but not to the extent that, no, we'll try this one. See the little bitty platform. And this is another one. I just want to rake it. I don't want to get very much depth. Didn't do much of anything. But that's okay. We can live with that. Now, this side, you can see, I still need to do that on this one here. Okay, this side here, so you can see it's pretty good up here. Here I need to go a couple of flakes there, and I'll use the issue on some because I want to run them into here and here. I'll kind of mark it. These are just maybe more short. This here could run up in there. Try to get rid of those and then come back and I'll show you. You can see. These are tough because you can see the release will be hard to deal with here. Well, they're not going very far, are they? Now they're starting. Not just touch up on all those. That's pretty close right here. I want to bring it in just a little bit so it's round, comes in like that side, but I also want to this is what gets tricky when you want to straighten them up. This constant little bitty touch up. Okay, now this, it's pretty well done. You can see the sides look pretty well touched up. And I'll do like the Indians, you'll use a pencil to mark on where I want to make a notch and I just draw a line across there so I can say, well, that should match up with the tip. So this should probably a little bit come off of there, and I'm professional at making crooked notches, so this will probably be a crooked notch, but I'll bring this in, take all that out, take all this out, then come up in here. All right. I used the pressure flaker a little bit more on it. Okay, there's one side. I'll flip it over to this side. I've already got them uneven, but take a little more out of here. That's pretty much what I do. Then I go to this other tool. I cut down. I have another. This is my notching tool. I need to readjust the thing a little bit. Okay, now. I don't take very big bites to start with, because if you do, you're gonna make a shorter arrowhead. And this area here isn't quite as bad, but there's a lot of crystal in through there, so. I use my knees for a vise because I do not want that notch, my tool, to do any twisting in there. And also to keep it, it's already bent. I gotta file that off. I'm sure you like to hear that. Okay. So I started that in a little bit. What I'll do is I'll start the other one a little bit too. Sometimes I'll take the one a good ways, and sometimes I just and don't be afraid to open that notch a little bit, because it doesn't have to be a perfectly narrow. A little bit of crystal hanging in there. What I'll do is I suppose I file notches because they come out cleaner. And easier to, because I don't want to break it at this point. Something like that's good. And then this one, I'll do the same thing, because there's a crystal sitting right in that notch, so it'll just help him along a little bit. Like that. Anything to, it is a tough one. Anything to not stress the notch you're trying to get out of there. The little C-flake. File again. And also going to file the notch. You can see how it looks in there. These would probably pop, but I don't want to take a chance. Use the notcher again. And what I do when I go in there, I'll set it on there just about like that, so you can see exactly what, just a little above. Take them burrs out of there because I don't want to have anything interfering with the flake that has to be removed. Okay, slow but sure, maybe. Okay, this one, I gotta get outside. This one, the other side. And really what this does, it cuts them edges so they don't hang up, so they break out easier. Because if you get a round C-flake, too round, you know what happens. You get your ear broken off. Okay, now a little bitty one, you know, and I'm taking that flake out here, but when you look up here, it looks like that's pencil mark and crystal area, and those will affect it will not let that flake release the way you want it. So I push it a little bit harder. Okay, so that one came out pretty good after all, but more filing. And this tool is so critical. When you damage that end, if it breaks in just a little bit, and you set that on your notching area, now if that tool is slope there, it's angled the same way that that file mark is, and you have to push a lot of mass to get that flake to come out, and that's then you start breaking them. The little C flakes that come out are, it's about, then I always like to clip them a little bit, because I don't think I filed that one, or did I? Well, okay, now. And you can see they're about centered, but with this file you can move it too, so. Notice the tool. And it does take a lot of pop to push them loose, some of them. See the crystal sitting on top there? That's why that flake will not want to go, because it, you think, well, that crystal isn't holding that flake, but it is, because when you press on that flint, it gives. And when it comes out here to that crystal, it won't give. So it has to explode and come off to the sides. This side here also has a little bit of a problem. You can see there's like a, and I noticed when I started flaking it had like a layer running in there. I don't know, was it from the crystals or what, but I want to file that more, because what it did, it started to break here. You can see it. Came right up through there. So what that's going to do is do a lot more damage than good. So what I'll do is I just file more, because I don't want to mess this one up at this point. Okay, and that is a pretty good push. You can see that's a lot of mass in here. All right, file the tool. Now we'll see what it wants to do. That's exactly what I was talking about, it like the ear, because the bulb had started earlier, but now this is a salvageable thing, because my notch won't be that big, but it did take a big C flake out of there. And it's not ruined, but it's not what I had intended. Okay, it'll still work, because this is gonna, you know, it'll, all right. Now since this notch is opened a little more, so what I want to do is file it so it doesn't continue opening up too much. But you can see the reason this one did not want to go, there was a line here, but there's also a crystal sitting right there. And those crystals raise havoc. So if you cut this where it will not tear as much, it'll be better. This one. look at the tool. Redo it. Okay, now I'll come in here and try to get that redo the tool. Now, these are about the same depths. So now I'll take my other tool, sharpen it just a little bit. A little bit of abrasion. Flip it over and go in here, and I don't ever want them curled up, just me. We'll see what this one looks like. You can always do little adjustments once you touch up all the ears. And a little bit at a time, because once it's gone, it's off. This one. Okay, now I'm going to take one more flake out of this side here, that notch. Okay. Now all I have to do is match those. Match up, not yet. How does it look? It still needs a little right there, right? It looks like. Touch up the other side a little bit. still not satisfied. So what I want to do is do a little bit. Still not satisfied, so I'll do a little more here. I'll try to. Now I should bring this side in just a little bit. I'll file it a little bit for a little bit better bite. That's it right there. This is the finished button base Dovetail. It takes about 4 hours to do one. For me it does anyhow. And that's both sides. I don't want to drop it.